It is 2 p.m. my time, so let's get started. Welcome to our cult meeting, aka Wizard Wednesday. The Book of Lore is hot off the presses, and the pages are burning through burning through block by block on the ETH network. We are seeing an absolute Cambrian explosion of creativity with Master of Spots, Cosmic Mage Bathsheba, Witch Flora, Adept Hadrian, Enchanter Sandra, Oig of the Hall, Angel of the Marsh, Goober of the Mount, and like 700 other wizards pouring their creativity into the Book of Lore. I'm telling you, this document is going to rival the Library of Alexandria, in that entire worlds will be created and destroyed as we all together collaborate on this legendarium. Like Johannes Gutenberg himself, Dota and his buddy Niski have practically created the printing press 3.0. Congratulations, Dota.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Congratulations to all of us.
Yeah, I know that was a huge effort on your part and Niski as well. I just looked at it today. It's just looking amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, so happy to finally get it out. Yeah, and it for sure wasn't all me. Niski and some of the other folks in the Coding Guild have contributed, but particularly Niski has really helped pull the load there.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's just gorgeous. Sorry, go ahead.
no. So we'll talk a little bit about it. I can talk a bit about the mechanics there. A couple of features we want to add is we just lifted the restriction for a few megabytes upload. Now you can should be able to upload files of any size. And then the main thing I think we want to add is around editing. And so you'll be able to edit. It'll still cost gas, but if you wrote the lore and you still hold the wizard, you'll be able to edit. But of course, after you transfer your wizard, the lore becomes immutable.
Right, and I know you said this several times, but like if you sell your wizard, and the new holder can add lore, but they can't delete the lore that the previous owner wrote. Correct?
That's right, nor edit it. Yeah.
Amazing, super
Yeah.
interesting.
So I want to talk a little bit about the Book of Lore if you're ready.
Yeah, by all means, go for it.
So I've been interacting a lot with Magus Wazir a lot on Twitter this week. He's got some demos up of a really, really cool game. He's using, I don't know if it's RPG Maker or exactly what the tool is that he's making, but he started making a game and it looked really good on Twitter. Uh, he tweeted out a picture of the map and it looks amazing. And um, and then he followed up his tweet by saying, "Oh, this is not an official Forgotten Runes Wizard Cult game, by the way." And I read that and I thought, I super appreciate. I can understand what he was saying, which is like, I don't want people to be confused that I'm like doing Sedev on some quote unquote official game. And I understood that was a very considerate thing of him to say. But I also felt that like I want to cast off this idea of something being official or not. And so I sent out this tweet and it said hours over official, authenticity over authority, or community over clergy. And the idea is that these decentralized worlds belong to all of us. Let me unpack this for a second. Like hours over official, right? It's not about what we're doing here is a collaborative process where sure we're creating the maybe we could call it official lore, or we're it's not even the official lore, we're creating sort of the source universe, but really this universe belongs to all of us, and maybe we have the authority over maybe we have some authority just in terms of as creators, but really the idea that people are creating stories that are authentic to themselves, that are authentic to their wizards, that are like living and creating, that authenticity is more powerful than authority in our community. And this idea of like community over clergy, what does that mean? The idea here is it's almost like a callback to the Reformation, right? In this idea where you have Martin Luther, who he says, we don't need the church as an intermediary between us and God. And in the same way that we don't need an intermediate between what you're creating, and you don't need an official creator to kind of mediate between you and that universe and what is canon. And so I think that really plays into this idea of the book of lore. Um, you know, there are many, many books that we love, but we're not able to take part in their creation. We're not allowed to build on them in any way. Tolkien, who we love, while his characters live on in our hearts, his book is under lock and key from his estate. The Fellowship has left Middle Earth, and his book is closed. J.K. Rowling, her book is gathering dust. The quill is dry, sitting in the corner. In her case, it's not because of death or her inability, but just because the rights have been issued, the movies have been made, the merch has been sold. And in torchlit passageways, an endless stream of goblins push minecarts of galleons into her vault. And to keep on writing risks interrupting that flow. And so her book is closed. Mickey has become Moloch. He's devouring and absorbing and acquiring every book it can find. And Mickey is also Maleficent. Disney has become the dragon that gathers every prince and every princess and hides them in his tower. And that dragon rests on a bed of gold in front of an enormous library full of books that he unabashedly calls the vault. And at the entrance of that library, over the door, is a sign that reads cast members only. And all of the books inside are closed. And so today, a new book opens. Today, this is a book owned by the living. It's a book that is open and cannot be shut. It's a book that's guarded only by a smart contract that says any wizard may write. So this is a book that can be written by any of us, and it's the Book of Lore. So today is the first day of these stories that will be told for 100 years. Tales of travel and love and betrayal and adventures. Tales of might and magic, swords and sorcery, of wizards and warriors and beasts, in a world that we'll all take part, that we all own and we all create. And so the Book of Lore is open. The Book of Lore is open source, it's open to read, and it's owned by every one of us. And your wizard story will be told, and I can't wait to read it. The Book of Lore today is opened.
Dota, you gave me goosebumps, man. That's it. That's it. Wizard Wednesday is over. That's all we needed to say. That's so good, man. Yes, I back up every word you just said. That's it. That's the whole project right there. Nailed it. Yeah, I think the Book of Lore is honestly our most important feature of this project. I guess you could say it's the core of the Forgotten Runes world. It is the Forgotten Runes world.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the Magus Wazar also. He made a really interesting point. He said two things that were so mimetic that I love today. One, or this week, he said this idea of proof of lore. This idea um, that showing kind of the value of your wizard within the wizard universe is this idea that you showing that you've written lore. Now you don't necessarily have to write it in the book, but that's a convenient place to put it. And I love that idea so much. We're seeing so many projects having like mint passes, or maybe you have to buy a mint pass, or doing some sort of whitelisting, or some, you put in your address in a Google form. And this idea of proof of lore really gave us this idea of like lore passes, right? This idea that when we look at the wizarding community, not only will we look to the book of lore when we tell stories through shows or comics or these things, but we'll also look to the book of lore in terms of like who do we give priority to for airdrops? Who do we give priority to in terms of like being minting? So I think that there's like both kind of an ability of like adding to your wizard, but also there's like it's on-chain record of your participation in the community.
Yep.
And so yeah, so I love this idea of proof of lore. And then there was another quote that he said, which is uh, "Don't worry about the floor, just look at the lore." Oh, so good, so good.
Yeah,
So yeah,
dude. I was just talking with Zayla Soul. I was like, "Who is this Magus Wazir guy?
I don't even know if
He's
he's
been
here.
doing such cool stuff lately."
Yeah, I think he's here. Oh, the one who rings the bell. Yeah, I don't. Hey, you're here. I'm gonna invite you up to speak if you want to talk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
he's been doing some great quotes. He put some really cool stuff in the book.
yeah.
He redesigned his character, which looks just so good.
Yeah, super good.
Um, but yeah, and yeah, and I love this proof of lore concept because that's one thing we've been wrestling with behind the scenes, which is like, how do we identify our most devoted cult members versus people who are just like here to flip NFTs? And like the proof of lore is like a good way to discern that. It's like if you've taken the time to put an entry into the book of lore about your character, that pretty much means you're like devoted to this project. Um, and we can whitelist you for things in the future.
Hmm. Cool. Well, I have, some more things we can talk about today. Is I know we have a wizard who wants to share their lore. We want to talk
Yep.
about burning souls. We want to talk more about lore. Is there any folks want to come up on stage and ask any questions and speak? Well, I think that would be a good break before we transition over.
Yep. Yep. I don't know if Megas was able to see your invite, but
I don't know. I tried, but my phone's
my
being
phone's
weird.
being.
I upgraded to like iOS 15 or whatever, and it's been screwy all day.
Yeah, Megas was here. If you would like to speak about all the cool stuff you've been doing, just put in a request to speak. But we
Yeah.
love what you're doing, and we're
Yeah.
happy to have you
Thanks.
here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of things to talk about. I don't even know where to start. I guess we could talk about souls. On my end, this whole week has just been I'm drawing ghosts and stuff. There's so much artwork in the soul burning event. It's been my full time job. I was supposed to review some walk cycles by my pixel team, and I just haven't had a chance to do that yet because Soul's artwork is taking so much time. But yeah, I think the soul burning is just gonna be freaking awesome. I think like as far as launch date, it's definitely no later than Halloween, and like Halloween's a good time thematically, but it's later than I kind of hoped. Plus, like everybody's gonna be out trick or treating. So I don't know, Dota. What do you think about launch date for
Yeah,
Souls?
the plan right now is Halloween. One of the good things about the mechanic of souls is that we are not going to cause a mad rush, and there won't be kind of any specific timeline because of the mechanic. So let me talk about this. So um, the plan right now is that we will airdrop 1,111 sacred flames to a set of wizard holders. These flames will be used to burn a wizard if you so choose. They there will be no timeline. This flame will be an NFT. You can hold on to it for as long as you'd like. There's no obligation to use it. Um, and if you decide that you want to trade it, use it like any other NFT, that would be your freedom. So there are two questions. One is who are the folks receiving that flame? And the second would be um, what happens if you use it? So let's talk about who will be receiving it. So we'll make sure that the mechanics here are auditable. Um, the main component of the plan is the following, which is we're taking the list of wizard holders, and we have a set of addresses, folks who have like bought wizards from minting day and have been holding through now. It We are going to airdrop one flame to every account that has been that in order of the longest holder by block until we run out of those 1,111 flames. I'm just going to say 1,000 because I don't want to keep saying
Yeah, that's actually not the
1,111.
that's
Yeah.
not the correct number, but that's
Oh,
irrelevant. Continue.
okay. It's not the
Yep.
correct number. So we're
Yep.
just going to say 1,000.
Sure.
You'll find out the correct number on the day of the drop.
Yep. Yep.
So to reiterate what we're saying here is that the idea is that, uh, for example, if on minting day you minted 50 wizards, you've sold 30 of them, you're still holding 20 from your original mint. then you'll receive 1 flame to that account. And if on the day after minting, well, I'm not sure exactly. I think that we got up to 1,400 holders in the first day. I'm not sure how many of them are still holding. But if you minted 1 wizard on minting day and you're still holding, then you'll receive 1 flame. And so the idea is that it's both fair in terms of longevity and fair in terms of, not necessarily being overly weighted towards folks who tend to have bigger wallets. And so we'll make the queries for that auditable. And so everyone can kind of see and verify. We will, of course, exclude our own wallets, the wallets of, like our own team and that sort of thing. But yeah, so that drop should be happening. That snapshot has honestly already been taken. You can't really go back and change it necessarily because there's already over 1,000 accounts who have been holding kind of long enough, and that snapshot has been taken. I suppose maybe if someone sold their last wizard between now and earlier this week, but we'll be dropping that sometime within the next 2 weeks. We'll let you know. We're going to wait for gas to cool down a bit.
So just to stop right there for a second, let's say somebody wants 2 flames, they would have to be lucky enough to buy one from someone who wants to give theirs up.
That's right. Yeah, in my analysis of the group of people that we're looking at, I believe, we'd have to double check. The numbers will be auditable in case I'm incorrect, but I believe that there was between 4 to 500 folks who will receive a flame who are only holding 1 wizard. And so you could imagine maybe those folks desire to burn their only wizard, but I would guess many of them would be willing to trade it, sell it, something like that. And so if you want more than one, you can
Yep.
look for it.
Yep.
All right. So the bigger question, I suppose, is what happens if you use it? Is this a guaranteed upgrade? And the answer is absolutely not. Choosing to burn a wizard is dark magic that is unpredictable. Some may receive a ghost, some may receive something powerful, some may receive something that you wouldn't want at all. It's certainly not without risk to burn a wizard with this sort of dark magic.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. So we probably will open the burning. The great burning on Halloween seems most likely. That seems like a good date. Even though we'd like to bring it up, pull it up, that's what I would plan on. But however, if we decide to do it a bit early, we'll make sure we do it when having enough time. If I don't think this should happen, but if in the case that it is a bit later, or the case that you're out trick or treating on Halloween, there's no rush. There'll be no gas war. There's no time pressure. If you decide to burn next year or in 5 years from now, that will still be an option available to you.
As long as you have a flame. Yep.
As long as you have a flame and a wizard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited for it. The artwork is coming along really nicely. Super excited.
Likewise.
So that's Souls. We also have so many things. Okay, I'll just say this. I feel like next week we are going to have some massive announcements.
No, you can't play it up. We're not allowed to talk about that yet.
Okay, I won't say anything though. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, we'll hold off on that. Really, I can't say anything.
Oh, you can. I mean, you said enough already. Come back next week. Same wizard time, same wizard station.
Okay.
I mean, we're not done yet, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I was gonna briefly just mention the lore that I wrote for one of my wizards, and then maybe we'll turn it over to our guest lore speaker. Actually, let me invite her up. There she is.
Oh, we also haven't mentioned the fact that Loch Ness is now full time with us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm going to invite her up to speak if she wants to. I don't know if she wants to,
Yep.
but yeah, huge news is that we have Loch Ness who has decided to join us full time, and it's been amazing. I believe this has been her first or second week. I'm sure you've seen kind of the socials being even more active. The Discord got more organized. The help pages are all easier to follow. I've noticed that we've had newer wizards coming in and feeling like they know where to go, how to get their questions answered. I just couldn't be happier. I am so happy to be working with Loch Ness. Oh, hello, hello, you made it up on stage.
Hi.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, super stoked to be a full time wizard. Just want to be here to help make things as smooth as possible as the cult grows. Because, yeah, there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline. And if you ever have any suggestions or just want to hit me up on Discord or here on Twitter, let me know. Gladly. As we have stated before, this is a decentralized build. So very much so open to any suggestions anyone has, and super stoked to just make our experience here amazing.
Yep.
Totally. And it's all you've already done so much and it's been really helpful. Like I know that like there's a lot to kind of wizards and our world and our lore and how we think about our project. And so I think your work, especially over the last week in terms of making everything more accessible has been just such a relief and so great to see. So yeah. If anyone has suggestions, know that Loch Ness is around. And then uh, I'm just so happy to be working with her full time.
Yeah, and I guess this would be a good time to share something I shared with Elf earlier in the
Please.
week, but I am an actual oracle. So
Fantastic.
we thought about having oracles in the oracle on Discord. So
Yep.
open to having some discourse around that with anybody who's interested.
Yeah. I mean, this touches on something that really sold me on Loch Ness, which is like, first, we definitely obviously needed a social media expert, which she is. She's also like really in tune with like what the kids are into, like on TikTok. She's really good at TikTok. But then the thing that really sold me was like she understands the project and she understands the genre that we're swimming in, and she just like really like knows how to I guess like role play or whatever, or just like really like keep the theme going. She's not just a social media expert. Like she really just gets the project.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna give my wizard lore just real quick, and then I'm gonna have Slick Chick deliver her wizard lore. So the only reason I wanted to give mine is because I wrote an entry for Wizard Zero, which is like I think he's called Holy Arcanist Illuminus of the Heavens, and I'm always talking about like don't overpower your wizard. But I was kind of in a predicament because I felt like Wizard Zero did kind of have to be overpowered. so so I was like trying to find the line of like not overpowering Wizard Zero, but still making him pretty freaking powerful enough. So I came up with this idea of like at first I was like, okay, is he the creator of matter and time? No, that's too much. So I decided he'd be the creator of nothing. And to me that was just fun because it's like what is nothing? What is all the nothing that's in between matter and time? And is that nothing limitless? Which begs the question, what actually is zero? What is the concept of zero? He is Wizard Zero. And I know that like I think I could have this totally wrong, but I think zero was it's an Arabic numeral. It was created by Arabs, and like once they did that, it like really improved math and um, like zero is a very important, powerful concept. And so creating nothing, like like my first question, and maybe there's a theoretical physicist in this in the audience, is there limitless nothing? Because I know that matter is limited. You can't create or destroy matter. But what about nothing? Is it truly limitless? Maybe I sound like an idiot right now, but what do you think, Dota? Is nothing limitless? from like a physics point of view.
I guess it just depends on what you think is like outside our universe. Like,
Right.
is it like Men in Black, right? Or like the outer like film of our universe is marbles for another outside alien? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. So like if you're creator of nothing, then are you really that impressive at all? I don't know. Anyway, that was sort of my thoughts in creating my wizard. So that's all I wanted to say. Slick Chick, are you ready?
I'm ready. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear
Yes,
you.
hello.
Hi. So I have to say, I have so much respect for the people in this group. I'm actually quite nervous to speak today just because some of the content that you guys put out is just so amazing. But I want to contribute, so I'm going to try. So
Don't
thanks
be
for
nervous.
having
We're
me.
so excited to talk to you. We're
Yep,
so
yep.
excited.
Don't be
Yeah.
nervous.
All right. So the year is 2021 AD. Hedge wizard Ursula the Steppe is dancing in the forest freely with her trickster fox. They hear a rustle in the bushes, and the fox immediately jumps to protect Ursula. But it's merely her spirit animal, a bear. She has known the fox for only a short time, but their passion, fire, and drive for change connects them and has forged an unbreakable bond. She opens her hip pack and pulls out some beef jerky, tossing it to the fox, herself enjoying a joint, and sets off on a stroll towards Kelpie's Bay, reflecting on what has gotten her here today. See, Ursula has lived many lives. She was born in the mid 1400s. Her family was persecuted during the witch trials, and it was with great luck that she and her sister managed to escape. What had they done to deserve this untoward fate? Her mother was a very kind witch who had practiced healing methods that worked at a time when mainstream medicine was completely ineffective. She had healed and eased the suffering of the same people who eventually turned on her. Her mother had threatened the power of the clergy and the flow of money to the church in the same way that Ursula today challenged modern society, establishment, and in many ways the patriarchy. Her grandmother had bestowed upon her the title of wizard and a coveted phoenix feather before facilitating her retreat to the hedge where she still resides today. Remember, Ursula, she had said, no matter what happens in this lifetime, from the ashes a fire shall be woken, a light from the shadows shall be sprung. Ursula spent those first few years making a home in the hedge, but living in fear and isolation. She was a clumsy novice who was constantly miscasting spells and worried a witch hunter would come to execute her. It is the memory of her family that has given her the strength to persevere and fight battles with her heart. She's not the strongest or the most gifted wizard, but she's the most passionate. As she arrives at Kelpie's Bay, she takes a look at her reflection in the stream. While to an unaware onlooker she appears youthful, thank goodness her witchcraft has stopped her from going gray, her once slender head is now shaped as a crown. Her crown head, deserving of the wisdom that now emanates from her. Everything around her possesses symbol and meaning, even something as simple as her outfit. The red is a commemoration of the blood spilled by her family and the many witches and wizards before her. The green symbolizes her resurrection. Her purple hat, her royalty in the hedge, and the respect that she now garners. Her age accumulated knowledge, insights, and intuition give her the courage to stand up for people that cannot stand up for themselves. And while the odds often remain stacked against her, as a female wizard, she works twice as hard to earn half the compensation, and she's just started looking into freezing her wizard eggs. She's a strong proponent of hedge wizard rights and is making headway in changing the culture within the metaverse. The phoenix gives her strength and reminds her that no matter how many times she bursts into flames, literally and figuratively, she can, has, and always will rise from the ashes. And that's it. That's my little introduction to my first wizard.
I love
Oh,
it.
thank you.
So, okay, so here's what's so great. I mean, in my opinion, what I love about it is, like, first of all, the hedge wizards are so underrated. Like, if you look up what a hedge wizard is, it's sort of like an amateur, underpowered wizard, a not impressive wizard. But those are the ones with the most humanity. Those are the ones that I think could tell the most compelling stories. Um, and you just did that. And so yeah, it was really great. I loved it.
I actually had a lot of fun writing it. It's a nice creative outlet. And now I'm like, okay, I need a wizard family because I need to write more lore now because it was really fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so good. And yes, thank you for contributing. And I hope you put that in the book of lore and we hear more from Ursula and her family. I think somebody was requesting to speak.
Yeah,
but
I can't
but I
add
need.
people. I don't know. I keep trying to accept them and it doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah. Would anybody else like to request to speak? Questions, comments? This is an open forum. Yeah, Slick Chick, I'm glad you put Kelpie's Bay into your lore as well.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing more people include more locations in their lore too. I think we've been seeing even in the lore channel, some people have been they've been incorporating some of the areas on the map. Obviously, very excited to see when more of the map is revealed. I know that Elf is very busy with doing, a litany of projects right now. But I think those areas have been a catalyst for a lot of creative outlets for people to see, the larger scope of how the different areas in Forgotten Runes look like, or at least a glimpse of them, and how they map together and such.
Yeah.
So, very interested. I thank you definitely for putting writing in more areas in your lore. I feel like developing areas is something that I'd love to see a lot of people do.
Yep, totally. Yep, yeah, and yes, and the map is definitely going to expand. There's so many other places that exist that are on the map. Oh, we got a request from Dr. Slurp. Dr. Slurp, what's up? Hey.
Hey, so I'm not a theoretical physicist, but from a math perspective about nothing.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
There's like infinite amounts of nothing between like each particle in space, because like space is continuous. Do you have any kind of like continuous spectrum?
Got
like
it.
There's infinite amounts of nothing between like every bit of nothing,
Perfect.
Yeah, I was gonna comment on that too. There's actually different levels of infinity too. Like some infinities are larger than other infinities. So like the space between two particles is actually like there's an infinity in that space, and that infinity contains nothing. I listed a video of it in PVS Space Time that they kind of go over some of these concepts in the chat, but pretty cool.
Great.
Well, apparently Elf didn't watch those.
Nothing. It doesn't matter if Elf didn't watch them. Nothing is actually a very interesting concept.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean that was what I was hoping it was infinite, because if you're just creating more of something that's infinite, then are you really doing anything impressive at all? I don't know, but
so just as a little tidbit of how interesting even the concept of infinity is. Technically, when you touch something, you don't actually touch it. There's like an infinitely small amount of space in which your particles actually repel one another. So you never actually touch something.
Interesting.
There is a space in between. Yeah. So.
But you feel it.
Yeah, you feel it. What you feel is actually the repulsion. Essentially, like you feel the repelling force of your particles pretty much going against each other, but they never actually touch. In between that space, there's an infinite amount. There's an infinitely small spot of pretty much nothingness in between those particles. Those particles never actually touch one another.
Does that mean we're in the Matrix?
Yeah, pretty much. You can say that.
Does it also mean that our bodies are nothing, because our bodies are just made up of a bunch of cells that have infinite space in between them?
Yeah, you are nothing.
Are we going to cause an
like you're
existential
mostly
crisis?
nothing.
See, this is sort of the what interests me about, like, in the Forgotten Runes world, the dynamic between magic and technology being science. Because, like, if you go deep enough with science, it just becomes magical. At least to laymen like me.
100% to me too.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, like a lot of science is pretty much like magic until you actually actually understand it and break down mechanism. If you try to explain to anybody, in the 17th century about how exactly a television works, it's magical to them, right? Yeah. Or a smartphone, you go over there, like you have this magical box that emits light, and you can do a bunch of things with it. Like that's magic to them, right?
Yep.
But we obviously broke it down and understand the complexity of how it works. So, and even like I guess we're kind of in that phase. That's why I personally like. I mean, obviously it's kind of like known, but like I really love quantum physics. Quantum physics is like kind of that plane where it's like a lot of what we understand about quantum physics feels very magical because like we can't really like tie it together with classical physics too neatly. It works on like the quantum. It works on like the very small quantum micro scale. But then like trying to scale it up is like it can like we know how it works. Like that's how our GPS satellite systems work through concepts like relativity and such. Even though it seems like it's really bizarre and out there for us, but it works.
Yep.
Right. We have to calculate our GPS systems based off of theory of relativity, which is the distance between our like Earth and the satellites, and the velocity the velocity of speed that the satellites are going comparatively to the Earth. There's a time dilation difference, and so like that seems really bizarre and magical, but it's a reality you have to deal with.
So like you're saying that like even though we don't fully understand it, we are using quantum physics in like practical everyday.
Right, like because the implications of implications of it are really bizarre, and like we don't like it's hard to really we don't have an exact mapping of it. So right now we're kind of in a phase but we consider like we try to find a theory of everything, which is essentially finding a way to map out like classical physics with quantum physics, because we know the quantum physics and we know how it works, and we know the classical physics and how it works, but there's some like disconnect in how we actually like make them marry with one another, because it seems like they contradict one another at a certain time, but they don't really. It's just that we don't really understand enough about them to really figure out why does it seem like they contradict each other. Why does it seem like it's something like so bizarre and out there? And then I guess also a lot of it is that like we're still learning. Like this is still like pretty much cutting edge, so like we're still learning. Like part of like I think the biggest probably the most well known experiment in quantum physics would be probably the I want to say the split particle experiment. Double split. And that experiment, it's kind of like it seems really bizarre because essentially it's like without the particles are in a superposition, and it's only when you observe the particles that they exist in like every possible position that they can, until you observe it, and once it is observed, it collapses from all the possibilities that it can be into one single possibility that you observe it at. And that seems really magical, but really it's more along the lines of we don't have the proper tools to really understand what's going on. So it seems like it's really out there, but eventually the thought is that we'll build up the tools to figure out what's actually happening. But right now we don't know what's actually happening. We just know the end outcome.
So I just want to note for audience members listening in that all of this quantum physics is being delivered to us by Magus Devon of the Quantum Downs, who is the creator of the quantum mushroom. And so at some point we may get a grand unified theory from a quantum mushroom chip.
From the quantum mushroom.
Yeah.
I'd like to say too, like scientists of the past have always kind of been wizards, because if you look at Isaac Newton, he was deep into alchemy, dude. So it's always been
100%.
Yep.
It's always been there. Yep. It's just just as we learn more, we kind of dismiss some stuff that it seemed like it was theoretically possible, but didn't turn out to be true. But we end up learning. There's always something to learn. So we're always picking up new things. So like even conceptually, like there's the if you want to think of in terms of like space time, there's like the Big Bang, and we can't see behind like what happened before the Big Bang. If there was really a happened before the Big Bang, that's like forever outside of our scope of ever understanding. And similar to that, there's a concept in the future because of how the universe is ever expanding infinitely. All the galaxies are expanding infinitely away from each other. There will be a point in which they expand so far away from each other that that light particles will never be able to reach one another. So if we were to look out to at the night sky with our strongest telescopes, we literally wouldn't be able to see anything around us anymore. It would just be completely emptiness. Right now we can. We're in a point where the galaxies that are far away from us, they're still close enough that we can see their light. But eventually it will just be nothingness out there. And so and think about if you're like a being, maybe not a human because this is so far away in the future, humans may not even be a thing anymore. If you're an intelligent being from that point, looking out in the night sky, the only thing you would see is nothing. And there's no way of you having any information about anything other than nothing out there. So you would assume there's nothing out there.
That's amazing.
So how does that say about maybe the position we're in? Perhaps, perhaps an unfathomable amount of time ago, there was something out there before the Big Bang that we don't know about, but there's literally outside of our scope that we can never access that information out anymore.
Magus Devon of the Quantum Downs, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, I like this stuff. Yeah, I actually had fun with the Book of Lore last night. I got to publish origin story of Spinor, and how Magus Devon met Spinor, and it kind of went almost into this territory of like infiniteness and nothingness, and so I think for some of my lores, maybe not all of them, but some of my lores, I probably may go into more concepts like these because I like exploring these concepts. And if anybody's interested in this stuff, honestly, like I linked it in the secret channel, the secret tower. PBS Spacetime is a really great channel. I mean, like you're gonna like it's a lot to go through, but I think they have it really easily digestible to like learn this kind of stuff. It's a really great resource. You may have to do a little bit of homework if you just like jump in the middle of a video of the series. Like there's gonna be concepts thrown at you that you won't know if you don't start from the beginning. But if you want to learn this stuff, it's a wild ride.
Hell yeah. Awesome, man. Very cool. Yeah. Quantum science, I guess. Quantum physics does play a role in the Forgotten Runes universe. I've got a lot written about it. It hasn't been revealed yet, but as you can probably guess, the Quantum Shadow and the Quantum Downs have something to do with that.
Hi, Oni.
Hey, I just wanted to chime in about the physics conversation. Long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah.
So what they're referring to, for anyone who wants to look at it, is called the von Neumann interpretation of quantum mechanics. And very recently, actually, like I think this year, it was disproven. So if anyone wants to write lore about that, you want to look up the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment.
Yep, and that goes perfectly. That's exactly what I mean. Like there's some things that like this is cutting edge. Like a lot of stuff that like we're still like learning as we go. Like that. Yeah, and as we develop our tools, we realize, hey, like maybe our tools showed us this, that it was coming out this way, but we've toned in a little bit better, and we realized that maybe we weren't.
That's exactly it.
Yep.
That's exactly it. Well, the problem when you measure anything is you have to shoot a photon at it, and that's what.
Exactly, and that's exactly so like the idea of like you need the tools to measure it, to observe it. By the act of observing it, you're actually messing up what you're trying to observe. So it's like it's a really hard line to cross.
Yeah. The part that sucks though is they disprove the consciousness collapses the wave function bit, which I think a lot of people still.
I was gonna use that as like the ultimate test for like AI. You know, if AI had consciousness, would it be able to collapse wave functions? You know?
Yeah. No, or it does not need to be alive.
I have a question for Dota or anyone else. Will quantum computing break the ETH blockchain?
Oh, yeah, sort of. It will for a little bit.
Okay, but Dota, can you just restructure our contract so it doesn't harm the Forgotten Runes world?
I think by the time we get quantum computing that's able to actually do anything meaningful to the blockchain, we have larger issues than the blockchain. I think I will go that fast.
Wait, larger than destroying the Forgotten Runes universe?
Yeah. Can I chime in on this one?
Well,
the best attack would be...
I don't mind giving an answer, but go ahead.
The best attack would be if someone built a quantum computer, they could find the private key that controls the zero address.
Interesting.
And then do crazy
and not
things.
Tell anyone about
it. And then move.
That's the other thing, though. Is
God knows how many tokens of how many different things and destroy everything.
The problem is Vitalik talks a lot about this too, though, is that sort of the like social convention layer underpins even the cryptographic guarantees. And so if someone were to start moving tokens out of the zero address, all the alarm bells would be raised, and we would look at the chain and be like, when was the first transaction? And then we would sort of either roll back or pause everything, or like there you'd basically kind of like move forward. in like on the social layer. And I think when you have, by the time that we have, the worst case scenario is that someone has invented a quantum computer that can find private keys, and they don't tell anyone about it. Because then and also if it's not widely available, for example, then you can't necessarily upgrade the algorithms to be like quantum resistant necessarily, right? Because you can imagine a case where, for example, if there's a group of people who own quantum computers, then you could theoretically have like quantum encryption, and then now you can get back to blockchains again. But of course, under like the current limits of technology, the people who own quantum computers are going to be like government agencies, and they're not necessarily going to like let us all run blockchains on them. So I do think that there would be like an intermediate period that's like very tumultuous and a problem for cryptography. But also like online shopping now is like dead. Like any sort of secure internet communication can basically be intercepted if that were to happen.
Yep. The conspiracy theorist in me says I find that and then I pretend that I was Satoshi the whole time.
There you go. Yeah, right.
We are all Satoshi.
Right, yeah. Nobody notices. Right. Nobody notices because you say you're Satoshi.
And I can prove it.
Like, and we're just like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Exactly. Perfect. That is vicious.
You just start moving Bitcoin from the Genesis wallet. Like, hey, I'm Satoshi. This is my wallet.
Yep. Right. Yeah, all right. I was Craig Wright.
Oh no, please no. So I actually have a question that somebody asked that they couldn't make it today. They wanted more information, if possible, about the astral plane.
The astral plane. I cannot give you any information on the astral plane. I'm assuming that this person has a wizard from the astral plane.
Probably, yeah.
I leave it to them to research and expound upon it.
Sounds great. Yep. I just figured I'd throw it out there just in case you had any quits that you want to say about it, but I'll be sure to read that message to them.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Definitely. Now that the Book of Lore is up, I already said earlier in this that I'd love to see more people. If you want to know more about whatever location, write about it. Like we don't have to have Elf give out some kind of information about what it is. Write what you think if that place is, and maybe Elf will read it and incorporate it more into whenever he does drop an explanation, incorporate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, you made me think of something. So like one thing I put into the collection is like as far as places go is places that are just straight up borrowed from other myths and legends, like places like Avalon and Xanadu and El Dorado. There's a bunch of places like that in the collection that are pulled from like other myths and cultures all throughout human history. And the reason I put those in there into our collection is because like there's already a lot of myth and lore and legends written about those places. People, it's already out there on the internet in the ether. You can easily research this stuff and incorporate it into the Forgotten Runes world. And you can put a spin on it, of course.
Yeah, and I think a lot of like persistent myths, like a lot of reoccurring myths, even like bordering on tropes, for example, they continue to exist because they like play on certain dimensions of like psychology that is like intergenerational, right? This idea of El Dorado, the golden city where you can travel and find, these like stacks of treasure. That's a myth that can, because it appeals to like the sense of adventure and wonder and finding treasure and success and overcoming adversity, and so these things are like true across different like cultures, time periods, and even universes, because like the fundamental desires exist in across those spaces. And so it's
Joseph Campbell calls these stories archetypal, and they're myths that are recycled across the ages because they appeal on such a vast level.
Exactly. Yes, Joseph Campbell's a huge influence of mine. The monomyth, It's interesting you say that, Dota, because I wrote something today I was maybe going to talk about, and it's this concept I'm calling the Darwinism of lore. And I'm sure most of you know what Darwinism is. It's usually used in the context of evolution, where like species they live on because they have certain physical qualities that allow them to successfully adapt to the environments that they are in. So there's a theory of natural selection working through that type of Darwinism. But Darwinism can be applied to like all kinds of things. It can be applied to markets. It can be applied to I think myths and lore. And so like for example, like why is it that most people, if you walk down the street and you say, what is a manticore? Most people won't know what a manticore is. But if you say, what is a unicorn? Pretty much everybody knows what a unicorn is. And so why is it that a unicorn has survived centuries of human literature and the manticore has not? What is it about the unicorn that like it pervades today, even in popular culture? The same can be said of like a dragon. Everybody knows what a dragon is, but nobody knows what a hippogriff is, except for probably the cult members, because you guys are in this shit. So yeah, so what it is about these myths, and I can't say exactly. I'm assuming there's like some sort of aesthetic quality that's operating this type of Darwinism. You could maybe make a case that it's aesthetic selection instead of natural selection. But I don't think that's totally it. Because like vampires are beautiful, but zombies are ugly as hell, and yet zombies are super popular in stories and games. And so it's really like Dota was saying, like it's something about something about these stories that's just super compelling to what it means to be a human being. They speak to like some core innate value in all of us. And so I guess what I would say is when you're constructing your own wizard's lore, what kind of stories are going to stand the test of time? What are going to leverage this aesthetic Darwinism? That's how you make like the most compelling character, the most compelling stories. It's certainly not like overpowering your wizard and saying they're the creator of all matter and time. It's giving them humanity, like Slick Chick did just today. She gave her wizards so much humanity. That's why Gandalf is so interesting and compelling, because he has so much humanity compared to Saruman, who's just drunk with power. That's what I would say when writing your lore. Like, just really think about what makes your character compelling and put that into it.
On the dragon issue, this is going to make me sound super broy. Sorry for bringing this up, but I don't know if you've like listened at all to Jordan Peterson's lections on literature. He's a controversial character, whatever. He has some thoughts, a lot of really useful thoughts on mythology. One of his theories around like the persistence of the dragon myth. The details escape me. Someone can look it up and correct me, but he basically tells this story about how they've done research on this like band of monkeys, and they have like two specific warning calls. They have one specific warning call for that is a sound that says, there's like a snake on the ground. There's something on the ground. Get up into the tree, and to get up off the ground for safety. And they have another vocalization for, oh, there's a bird in the air. Everybody race race down from the trees and get underground, like get low, so that way you can protect yourself from the raptors in the air. And he basically says the dragon myth is sort of this combination of those ultimate two fears, right? Is that you have both this like snake that can attack you from the ground, as well as fly from the air and reach you even in the sky. It's the ultimate terror
That's awesome.
Of a being, and so that's why it's persisted through these generations.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it's a really compelling case for dragons. But I think to your point more broadly, which is they're like, how do you write good lore, right? Part of how do you write stories that persist, and these like fundamental themes of like the fundamental human emotions of fear and protecting your family and falling in love and greed and betrayal and all of these fundamental things that recur over and over. um, you know those are things that make a good lore because they persist through time.
Yep, absolutely. So cool.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that too because you hit the nail on the head with the snake and the dragon. That's also that kind of harpens also to what Elf was saying with like zombies. It may not be aesthetically pleasing, but it harpens on like basic human. What if the dead were to come back to life, and rather than being a joyous occasion, it was actually something that was extremely dreadful of an event. And and like disease, kind of disease and plagues, those are obviously key human fears. Like we understand, the idea of something that's unsprouted just wiping out all of your loved ones. And so that's kind of like where like the idea of like zombies, exactly. It may not be aesthetically pleasing, but it's pleasing in the core of like what it harpens on for human emotions.
Yep.
And that's also why like every zombie movie, it's always like, oh no, the person that I loved is a zombie now. What do I do? And it's like, because it's like that's like a very basic like fear of like what in a zombie situation if somebody you love becomes the undead. Are you able to kill them now? Like, do you have the heart to know that you can end their life after they've come back again?
Yep.
Has anyone here watched The Magicians? Because it touches on that very storyline. It's a very interesting series. In terms
like Crucifor's video.
What is The Magicians? Is it on? What is it on? Right?
The Magicians. It's a TV show. Mm-hmm. I think it's on Sci-Fi.
It's on Sci-Fi. I'll look it up. I'll definitely look it up.
Yeah, it's on Sci-Fi.
Crucifor also
it's based
has
on a novel.
A short film. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Go ahead, Loch Ness.
Oh, it's all good. I was just saying it's based on a short film. I mean, a short novel.
Gotcha.
Nice. Definitely, I'll look it up. Sounds great.
Demon Slayer is also about the same thing.
Yeah, theme. Pretty much. Yeah, that
you do when your sister becomes a demon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those kind of stories, like I said, the kind of stories where it's like your loved ones come back, but it's not a pleasant experience.
Whoops. I think I just accidentally muted everyone.
Hello?
Can you guys...
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Okay, sorry, Magus Devin.
Sorry, Magus Devin, go ahead.
Oh, no problem.
Yep. I was trying to respond to the request from Bub, who just joined us.
Hey there.
Hey, Bub.
Hey, I just wanted to make a suggestion as well. There's a really good podcast called The Emerald. And it deals a bit with like deep time and I guess some of the concepts you guys are like into. And there's a lot of old, I guess, mythology in there, like a lot of Greek stuff and stuff about water and the god of electricity and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, this podcast is called The Emerald.
Awesome.
Really, really, really good. And yeah, if you look a lot of the stuff in there about Aboriginal Australian storytelling, super cool. Just how they use the land, and I think you can tie in a bit to, the stuff you guys are talking about. Just my 2 cents.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll check it out. Thank you.
No worries.
Cool. So we only have a few minutes left. Would anyone else like to comment, question? Okay then. Slick Chick, I noticed that you changed your avatar to your hedge wizard Ursula. It's looking good. All right. Dota, do you have anything else?
I don't think so. There's some chatter in the Secret Tower around kind of the mechanism that we're using for allocating souls flames. So I think, some folks are raising some concerns. Happy to chat about them. It hasn't been finalized yet, so we can talk there. But yeah, I don't have anything left to add. Here.
Yeah, speaking of which, I also wanted to say the Book of Lore went live today, as we stated in the beginning of this. There may be some bugs. I noticed that I ran into a lot of bugs when I connected my ledger. So, you know, like we said, this is just V1. We're going to be ironing out these bugs. Some of them are totally just on Ledger's end and not on the book's end. One thing I noticed was update your ETH app on your Ledger before you start trying to contribute to the book. Make sure contract data is allowed. Yeah, Dota, do you want to say anything about that?
There's a whole big thing. If you're having trouble with your Ledger, DM me. I just helped Oz with it this morning and Elf yesterday.
Yep. And then Oracle at DogeFi, you just came up. What's up, man?
Hey guys, I'm gonna try not to be overlong, but everyone else talking got me kind of excited. And there's actually a series of Medium articles by Zia Steele, Ziasteele, where they go into, it's actually about Avatar: The Last Airbender, but they go into the physics of how, like the science physics of how you could potentially have some of the magical style effects. And it goes a little, I want to say they even address some of the quantum physics applications and connotations that would come along with everything. So I just wanted to drop that if anyone was interested.
So are you telling me that science will advance to the point to where we can become wizards ourselves in IRL?
Not quite that far, but it's saying if it was possible, this is how they would do that. Like if we could figure out how to get into the mechanics of it, that's how you could produce something like a flame that comes from nowhere. And it even explains why a flame would be like an orange versus a blue as far as incomplete combustion and how you're using some of the particles in the air to initiate the reaction. And just awesome series of stuff. And I thought other people might be interested in it because I'm kind of trying to use some of those, some of the data from that one in my own development, since my character has a air room, to try to incorporate some of that in it.
Amazing. Dude, all I'm hearing is that we're going to be wizards in the future. I think that's it. These Forgotten Runes wizards are just a precursor to what's coming. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It is 3:02. Yeah. So this has been Elf
and Dota
channeling out from the Quantum Downs. Thank you, guys.